In this section, section 2, I'm going to walk you through the process of taking your Google Earth imagery of the site plan, and we're going to export it directly into the Layout program. Layout is a sister program of SketchUp and is responsible for displaying 2D drawings in presentation mode, which makes it easy for us to print if we were actually going to print on a scale, or simply make presentations that would be accessible through the internet or being able to be sent as attachments through email. So let's get started. The first thing that I would like to do is I would need to locate the Send to Layout option. So in order to send the SketchUp model to Layout, I need to go to File, and then where I look down for the Send to Layout option, Send to Layout. And what's going to happen here is the Layout program will open momentarily, and everything that you see on the screen, that Google Earth imagery, will appear in a drawing that we are starting to create in Layout. So the first thing that pops up on the screen are the templates. You can select paper, and we're going to be going with a tabloid. So you go to paper and select the tabloid landscape. Tabloid is 11 by 17, and that's going to give us the right size paper that we need in order to create the scale that we want. We will be using an engineer scale of 1 to 100. Hit open, and you will then see the grid lines for the graph paper. Well, there's no graph paper. I was wrong about that, but we are able to see the SketchUp model. So to bring this into flat view, we're going to go to SketchUp model. So the first thing I'm going to do for that is make sure I'm clicking on the face of the image and everything is highlighted in blue, and I want to come over to my default tray. If for some reason the default tray disappears or any of these options have been closed, simply go to View, Restore Default Workspace, and everything will be restored. So I'm going to come over here. I'm actually going to resize this, and I'm going to look for SketchUp model. SketchUp model is now selected. I'm going to go with ortho, and I want to change this ortho to the top view so I see everything in flat. Then I want to change the scale. So I have changed the ortho, I turned ortho on, I turned a standard view to top, and I'm going to change the scale. And I want to go, like I said, 1 inch will equal 100 feet. So here's my scale right here. 1 inch equals 100 feet. Next, from here, I can actually use these handles and enlarge the area that I would like to use. So I'm going to come over this way and reposition how I want this to show up. So maybe I want to get rid of the Google part. I don't need all that. So I can actually move up a little bit, and it looks good to me. And maybe pull this over because we're missing some of the outside edges of the property lines all the way in the back. And let's lower this down and position it in the middle of our drawing. So you click on it, you can move it around wherever you want it to be, and that is it. So that is the first part of this section complete. Now before I go any further with the layout, I want to take a look at the site plan checklist, and I want to see what I need to identify in the layout drawing of the Irving School site plan. So if I look at the checklist, I will see that I need to include street names on the bordering properties, driveways, include the engineering scale, which is 1 inch equals 100 feet, the north arrow, the total area of the building, which is going to be something that we need to open SketchUp up again for, drainage flow, setbacks to property lines, and the actual property lines themselves. And you can also include the latitude and longitude that can be pulled from Google Earth as well. So these are all things that should be included in your actual layout. So let's get started on that. We're going to start off with some basic tools to get you started. So I'm going to minimize this window, go back in, zoom in. So the first thing I would like to do is I'd like to show you how to use the text tool. So to use the text tool, you're going to go over to the default tray over here on the right hand side, and you're going to look for text. And this is going to be useful for when you are typing in the square footage of the building, typing in the street names, or anything else, for example the scale. All of those things will need to be included. And a sample of what this will ultimately look like is what you see on the screen right here. Okay, so Old Keene Mill Road needs to be identified. This is the square footage, the total square footage of the building. You're seeing the setbacks. The setbacks are the distance away from the property line. So here's one from the back of the lot, or the property line, or the property. Here's one all the way to this side of the property, this side of the property, and all the way to the front. So there is everything that we need at this time, including the scale. One thing that's not on here yet is the north arrow, which also should be included, and the north arrow is going to simply be dropped right in place right above the scale. So let's go back, and like I said, let's do the text. So in order to add text, you can change the font, and you can change the colors too, if you're going to be drawing right over top. So as you saw before with the Old Keene Mill, I decided to go with white, so it was a good color contrast. So in order for me to do that, I would need to change the text color. So I'd go to the list and scroll all the way down until I find white. Minimize the colors. Okay, now let's make sure that we can find a good font size, and then we can start typing whenever I'm ready. So I hit the text icon here up at the top, and I'm going to do Old Keene Mill right here. So let's type out Old Keene Mill. Alright, so if I want to change anything to this, just highlight it. I can make it bold. I can change the font size, and even the arrangement by clicking on, or the arrangement by clicking on the mouse pointer and moving it to wherever it needs to go. So there's Old Keene Mill Road. Next thing, the scale. Adding the scale in. Once again, you just take your text tool, click and drag a box over here, and you can type in your scale. Now you see that we have a problem here. Since I didn't change the font color, I would need to go back into my text color and change that back to black, or whatever color that you choose. So I would set the scale there. Next thing I'd like to do is add in the north arrow. So I'm going to minimize the text, minimize the colors, and go into the scrapbooks. Inside the scrapbooks, I already have it open, but you will see that there are arrows, there are cars, colors, people. Ultimately, there are 2D and 3D different elements that could be added to your drawings. So you can actually add in vegetation, you could add in people, signs, anything that you can think of should be here. So I'm going to go with arrows. Okay, so I'm going with the arrows, and we're going to go with north. And you can choose a north arrow. And you can click and drag that in, and that's set. So you can actually enlarge this to whatever size you want it to be. But there's your north arrow. The next thing I would like to show you is how to create the property lines that you go all the way around, the setback lines, and any other lines that you would like to create that are needed by going in and looking. I don't have everything on their drawing, so you would also need lines for the drainage flow, and that's about it. So to create these lines, I'm going to walk you through these steps right now. So to create the lines, I'm going to go in and click on the line tool up here at the top, and I want to go to shape style, because when I start drawing lines, you can see I already have my line template set for this one. I'll undo it. But when I go back to the drawing that I was currently working on, if I start drawing a line, it might not be the same. As you can see, I click and drag, click, click, and you're getting the shape that I don't want. I just want lines without the white background inside, or the white fill. So to turn the fill off, I need to go into the shape style and hit fill. And now all I see is the lines that I need. Okay? So I don't want that line, so I'm just going to simply click on it with the mouse pointer and delete it. So to create the setback, I need to change the line type. So in order to change the line type, I go over to dashes. That's what it says right now. I could change it to whatever it needs to be. So this is a solid object line. Here's looks like what you would call a hidden line. Here's a dashed line or a dotted line, and then there's some other variations here. So you can take this one right here all the way at the bottom and use that for your setbacks. You can change the weighting of it too. The weighting is how thick the line is drawn. So I'm going to start with my line tool, and I can do my setbacks. So I'm going to click here and come straight back to the edge of the property and hit escape to get out of that tool. Now there's a problem here. I want to make sure that this is white instead of black so it's a better contrast. So I click on the line and I'm going to change the color, go through my list to white, and that looks much better. So there's one setback, and I can also include the distance by using my text tool like I learned before, or like I taught you before. And then I can go ahead and use the line tool for the rest of the setbacks. So one over here and hit escape. Let's go ahead and highlight that again since those changes did not take place. Go back to white. There we go. And see, it keeps going back, so I need to go and select white this time. Let's do one over here. Okay, escape, and then one more in the front of the school going out to the road. And then we can actually go ahead and zoom in and do the property lines. And I'm going to show you how to resize some things too if you need to. Zoom out, come in a little bit closer here, and back over and connect. And there's your property lines too. So if I wanted to, I could highlight. Let's try this again. So to resize, I need to be very careful on what I click on. So sometimes you might select the whole site plan. Try to deselect that by clicking outside, and then click on the lines that you want to move. There we go. And I grab the handle and lower it so it now fits inside. If you want to change this outside line to a different type, you can do that too. So we can change it a little bit so it's different from the setback, so that we can change them up and create a legend later if we needed to. So there it is. There's everything that I have so far. Still, like I said, it's not the same as what I have over here, but you'll get there once you learn how to use these basic tools. The last thing I'm going to show you is going to take place in the next video, which will basically be showing you how to go back to SketchUp and get the square footage like you see right here. So watch the next video for that.